Creating content is hard, but you know what else is also harder? The ability to choose how you want to present said content. Now, honestly, I'm not really any expert, honestly, but today I'm going to show you how I use Adobe Photoshop. Now, you don't necessarily need the program to use the tips that I'm going to display in this video, but I'm going to display the ways that I create my thumbnails, and hopefully you implement those in your own programs. With that being said, let's get into it. Also, I'm seeing a statistic that 72% of people that are watching my videos are not subscribed. So all I ask is subscribe, hit a follow button, and check out my content. Your support could potentially help my channel grow in the future. Thank you. Alright, as you can see, I kind of already got some of my images down and some of my rough drafts, but we're going to go ahead and click an image. When it comes to choosing, right, the kind of photos that you want for your thumbnail, you're really going to choose something, well, first of all, yourself, right? Well, unless you're doing a channel with, you know, no face camera or anything like that, but you're going to want to choose yourself, and you're going to choose a good photo with you as the subject, right? This is a pretty decent photo for the most part. I took this with a what's the name of this shit? With a Canon 2000D. I think that's what the name of this camera is called, with a 18-55mm lens. Don't really need something with really good resolution, honestly. I'm going to show you how to upscale yourself as a subject anyway, and we're just going to get into it. When it comes to masking your subject, if it's you or if it's really anything, there is a feature that allows you to select a mask, and what happens is to kind of like get to the thing loads the way I want it to, and let's just hit OK. This is not what we're going to do, but when you hit select the mask, you start selecting the area that you kind of want to mask your subject. It's going to do something like this. I'm gonna go ahead and take that away. There's 1,000 different ways to crop yourself in a photo. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to take a paintbrush, right? I'm going to create a new layer. Well, first of all, I'm going to duplicate this one, right? I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to draw an outline on the outside of my body so that it becomes easier for us to select our subject and mask it in the later stages. All right, I'm going to do a jump cut, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. All right, didn't really do my best work. Hold on, I'm gonna go in here and erase a little bit. Boom, this is how our product looks after we finish, outlining it. We don't really get the chair involved. We get down to the arms, so we don't really come across right around here. We kind of just keep going down towards the leg, just trying to get the entire body of our subject, right? And so what we're going to do now, okay, is we're going to go over to that select and mask option that I showed you earlier, and we're going to go ahead and select all of me, pretty much. Quick thing to mention before we select our subject, you want to go ahead and select the background copy, but before we do that, we want to hit that little eye for the background so we can take that away for when we go to select the mask. We don't want to click this layer for when we select a mask, or it's just going to get the outline. So you want to select the duplicate of your subject, go over to select the mask, and then it should look like this, kind of transparent. But when you start to select your subject, yeah, then that's when it starts, trying to mask the areas that you selected. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and I'll show you the final product. Boom. We do have some areas in which, kind of got the outside area. It happens whether we outline or not, honestly. Some areas back there behind the ear that gets the background. So we're going to go ahead and fine tune this ourselves. And what we're going to do is we're going to click on that mask the layer, and we're going to click on that symbol that says layer thumbnail instead of layer mask thumbnail. So we're going to hit layer thumbnail. We're going to go over to our eraser tool. The size, well, it's really up to you, but we're going to take all the hardness all the way down to 0, pause, and then we're just going to zoom in and fine tune everything. Okay, I'm gonna show you what that looks like after I finish. Boom, now that we have our subject, we want to start putting something in the background. Yeah, the way that I kind of like to do this, all right, first we're going to hit Control T to transform our subject. We don't need him to be that big. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of that other background copy. I don't really necessarily need it. We're going to put something behind the subject, and something that a lot of people do, honestly, is they like to create a gradient fill. We have a bunch of different other options right here. We got something like this, the vertical bar, the star, kind of this going on right here, which is a little bit different than this. What I like top for though, the circle, right? Okay, so that brings in the black. All right, boom. Yeah, we're going to extend the circle. Okay. And if you like, you can go back in and, mess with the coloring, of course. We're going to make the black appear further out. So, you know, it's not affecting too much, but it does kind of serve as a border. Boom. Okay, cool. Now we have our gradient filled down as a background. All right. Now something else we're going to do before we even begin editing any of the putting the other logos in here is we're going to do something with the subject because he doesn't really look properly in tune with his surroundings, right? We're going to mess with something. We're going to mess with some of the lighting, and the way we're going to do that is we're going to do camera raw filter. We could start messing with some of the whites, kind of make our subject appear, you know, brighter. Turn the darks down. If we come out here to color grading, we have some options to mess with the midtones, the highlights, the shadows. Kind of like the subject to appear like, at least for me, I like to appear a bit like oranger, yeah. And we're going to any of our shadows, we're going to turn that down. And if you want to see the difference in results, you come over here and see how that changes, right? Boom. Now it kind of looks better. It looks, you know, a little bit more higher quality. Without doing too much, I'm going to start editing, bringing in the other thumbnails, right? We're going to bring in our Photoshop thumbnail. We're going to take this down, and with our move tool, we're going to move this onto here, and we're going to move that layer behind our subject. We're going to use Control T, and we're going to scale it so it's actually, you know, bigger, right? I'm going to make this a bit bigger just so it looks roughly the same size as our Photoshop. Boom. Now this already looks nice, but we're not going to settle for mediocre. There's a bunch of different nuances that we want to get into. So we're going to do that, okay? We're going to make our logos appear three-dimensional. And the way we're going to do that, right, is go to blending options right here. And we're going to go all the way down to where it says drop shadow. You can kind of like, if you see this little box right here, you can kind of see like right there with the logo when you edit it, and you can see it with the box, you can kind of see how it affects the shadow in a way. You can affect the distance to see like how far away the shadow is, how far it spreads out, the size of it. This is kind of like, I don't know, blur, unblur. I like to keep it relatively blurred, and we're going to make the distance, you know, stand out a bit. And we're going to do the exact same thing with the YouTube logo. And them a bit closer together so it kind of fits in this little circle. You get to see everything. If you want, honestly, you can make your subject bigger so you're kind of like, you know, a bigger focal point. I don't really like to make them too big. I kind of like to keep them right there. And, you know, it looks good, right? And we're going to get into a few other things before we begin to export this, all right? Now, we have our subject above everything, but we're going to put a few other things above it. We're going to do some things in which we affect, you know, the eye color, the lips, the teeth, you know, the lighting on the face and all that. Me personally, I like to, puppet warp my subject. I'm going to expand. I just want to make the eyes a bit bigger. I can do what I need to do next, right? I'm going to go in. We're going to, I like to choose a very bright and unnatural color, which you're going to see why I do this in a second. It isn't half-assed. We're going to try to avoid the pupil. We're going to zoom in. The pupil sits right about here. And then we're going to go ahead and fill out outside to where the rest of the iris is. Okay, should look something like this. We're going to go over here, and we have a bunch of different options, right? I like to choose overlay. It's not too unnatural, and I think it kind of like blends in with the iris pretty well. I want to turn down some of this fill, maybe even the opacity a bit, just so we can make it look a little bit more natural. A white paintbrush, and we're going to select our layer and go around to where we can make this a bit bigger. We're going to go around and fill in the areas of our teeth. Try not to hit the gums to make it, you know, appear a little bit more natural when we do our overlay. So wherever we see these like little creases, we kind of want to avoid that. Also do another overlay feature. We can take down the fill, have the opacity too far down to where it actually, you know, doesn't affect much. Size of our brush, we're going to take down the hardness of the brush, and we're going to go ahead and add light to our subject on where we think it should be. Because of this circle gradient that I've chosen, we want to assume that the lighting is facing the subject directly. So it's going to affect the forehead, it's going to affect the, cheekbones, it's going to affect the front of the nose bridge, those kinds of things. Where we're not going to choose overlay this time. Instead, we're going to choose something like soft light. Take down a lot of it, but for the sake of time, should probably be start wrapping this up. If you want tutorials, if you want, see me make more thumbnails, I can. I love doing this. This is very fun. But most importantly, if you guys enjoyed the video, please subscribe. Support the channel. Tell your friends about it. Yeah, I'm going to try to upload as much, different types of content as I can. I've been getting pretty bored with Death Note Killer Within, the Sim series, and not that I'm going to stop with the Sim series. I definitely want to continue, but sometimes I find, it to, keep track of sometimes. But like I said, hope you guys enjoy. And as always, I'll see you until next time. Peace.